I, 32M, never thought I'd be writing this post, but I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some advice. This whole thing still feels like a nightmare I can't wake up from. It started last weekend at my best friend's bachelor party in Vegas. We've been planning this trip for months. Nothing too crazy, just a group of guys having fun before the wedding. My wife had actually encouraged me to go, saying I needed to let loose for once. Looking back, I should have seen the red flags and how eager she was to get me out of town. The first night went exactly as planned. We hit up some casinos, had some drinks, and just enjoyed being together as friends. It wasn't until the second night that everything went sideways. We were at this upscale club that my friend's brother had insisted on. I'm not really a club person, but I was trying to be a good sport for the bachelor. I was at the bar getting another round when I saw her. At first, I thought I was seeing things. Maybe I'd had one too many drinks. But no, there was my wife of 8 years, wearing a dress I'd never seen before, sitting in a VIP section with some guy in an expensive suit. They weren't just talking. His hand was on her thigh, and she was laughing at whatever he was saying like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. My whole body went cold. She was supposed to be in Seattle for a work conference. That's what she'd told me. That's what she'd been telling me every few weeks for the past 6 months when she had to travel for work. I just stood there, frozen, watching as she leaned in close to whisper something in his ear. I must have been staring too long because one of my friends came up and asked if I was okay. I couldn't even speak. I just pointed, and I saw his face change as he recognized her too. He grabbed my shoulder and tried to pull me away, probably worried I was about to cause a scene. But I shrugged him off and started walking toward their table. That's when I saw the envelope. The guy pulled out a thick manila envelope and slid it across the table to her. My wife, the woman who taught 3rd grade, who cried at sad commercials, who I thought I knew better than anyone, picked up that envelope like she'd done it 100 times before. And maybe she had. I didn't confront her right then. I know that probably makes me a coward, but I needed to understand what I was seeing. I went back to the hotel room, told everyone I wasn't feeling well, and spent the next few hours going through every bank statement, every email, every text I could access. What I found made me sick to my stomach. There were secret accounts, hidden email addresses, and a whole paper trail of lies. My wife wasn't just having an affair. She was living a completely different life. One that involved large sums of money, luxury hotels, and God knows what else. All those work conferences suddenly made sense in the worst possible way. I'm writing this from a hotel room in Vegas. My friends have gone home, but I can't face going back yet. My wife keeps texting, asking if I'm having fun, telling me she misses me. Each message feels like another knife in my chest. I haven't replied. I don't even know what I would say. The thing that keeps eating at me isn't just the betrayal. It's the realization that maybe I never really knew her at all. How do you sleep next to someone for 8 years and not realize they're living a double life? How do you love someone so completely and miss all the signs that they're not who they say they are? I have evidence of everything, screenshots, bank statements, photos from the club. Part of me wants to confront her the moment I get home, but another part of me feels like I need a plan. This isn't just about infidelity anymore. There's clearly something bigger going on, and I'm terrified about what else I might discover. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with a lawyer I found here in Vegas. My friend's brother knows him and says he handles complicated situations. I guess that's what my life is now, a complicated situation. I haven't slept more than a few hours since that night at the club. Every time I close my eyes, I see her with that envelope, and my mind creates 1,000 different scenarios about what could be inside it. I don't even know what I'm asking for here. Advice? Support? Maybe I just needed someone to tell this to who isn't directly involved. How do you even begin to unravel something like this? How do you face the person you love most in the world when you discover they've been lying about everything? Update. First, thank you all for the support and advice on my last post. Things have gotten even more complicated, and I need to share what's happened in the last 48 hours. The meeting with the lawyer was eye-opening, to say the least. He looked through everything I'd gathered and confirmed what I was starting to suspect. This wasn't just about affairs or simple deception. The amounts of money moving through these hidden accounts were significant enough to raise serious legal concerns. He advised me to contact the FBI, but I wanted to understand more before taking that step. I decided to do some digging before heading home. The lawyer helped me hire a private investigator who specialized in financial fraud. Within hours, they found connections between my wife's secret email accounts and several high-end escort services in different cities. But here's where it gets even more twisted. She wasn't just a client. She was running operations, managing other women, handling large financial transactions. The investigator found social media accounts I'd never seen before, showing her at luxury events across the country. In every photo, she looked like a different person. Different hair, different style, even seemed to use different names. The woman I knew bought her clothes from Target and complained about the price of groceries. This version of her was wearing designer everything and hanging out with people who looked like they belonged on magazine covers. I was still processing all this when I got a call from one of my friends who was at the bachelor party. He'd been doing his own digging and found something that made my blood run cold. His cousin works at a local news station, and apparently, there's an ongoing investigation into a high-end escort ring that's been laundering money through legitimate businesses. The description of one of the main suspects matched my wife perfectly. I felt like I was going to throw up. 8 years of marriage, and I'm learning about my wife's life from news reports and investigators. The woman who baked cookies for my nephew's school events was potentially part of a criminal enterprise. Every memory I had of our life together was being tainted by these revelations. That's when things got even more complicated. While I was sitting in my hotel room, staring at all these documents, I got a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of me meeting with the lawyer, followed by 3 words. "Be careful, darling. The lawyer thinks my wife's organization has people watching me. He advised me to check into a different hotel under a false name, which is where I am now. I haven't told anyone where I'm staying, not even my closest friends. The PI is monitoring my wife's known accounts and movements, but there's no telling how many other identities or resources she has access to. The most surreal part? She's still acting completely normal in her text to me. This morning, she sent me a picture of our dog with his new toy, asking when I'll be home because she misses her boys. The disconnect between these domestic messages and what I now know about her life is making me question my own sanity. I've been going through our wedding photos, trying to see if there were signs I missed. Did she marry me as part of her cover? Was anything in our relationship real? I keep thinking about all the little moments, the way she'd tear up at sad movies, how she'd bring me soup when I was sick, her excitement when we bought our house. Could anyone fake all that for 8 years? The PI found something else that's keeping me up at night. Before she met me, my wife didn't seem to exist. No social media, no credit history, nothing beyond basic employment records at the school where she teaches. It's like she appeared out of nowhere 10 years ago. The person I married might not even be who she claims to be. I know I need to confront her, but the lawyer and PI both advised against it until we have a better understanding of what we're dealing with. They're worried about my safety, and honestly, so am I. The woman I've been sleeping next to for 8 years is essentially a stranger, and a potentially dangerous one at that. The hardest part is maintaining normalcy in our communications. Every text feels like I'm writing to 2 different people, the woman I thought I married and this mysterious person I'm uncovering. I've never been good at lying, but now my life might literally depend on it. My friend's wedding is in 2 weeks. My wife is supposed to be there. She's even helping with the arrangements. I don't know how I'm going to face her in public, pretending everything is normal while carrying all this knowledge. The bride-to-be has been like a sister to me for years, and now I have to lie to her too, at her own wedding. I've started moving money into accounts my wife can't access. The lawyer helped me secure all my important documents and set up monitoring on my credit. We don't know the full scope of what she's capable of, so we're trying to protect everything we can. The PI is meeting me tomorrow with more information they've uncovered. Part of me wants to know everything, but another part wishes I could go back to last week when my biggest worry was whether I'd packed enough socks for the bachelor party. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who hired private investigators or stayed in hotels under false names. I never thought I'd be afraid of the woman I love, but here I am, jumping at shadows and sleeping with a chair against my hotel room door. For those asking what I plan to do next, I honestly don't know. The lawyer is preparing divorce papers, but we can't file them until we understand the full situation. If she really is under investigation, I need to make sure I'm protected legally. The PI thinks there might be offshore accounts and properties I don't know about yet. I'll update again after I meet with the PI tomorrow. Right now, I need to respond to my wife's latest text about dinner plans for when I get home. Every message feels like I'm writing a script for a play I never wanted to be in. How do you act normal when your entire life has turned into a lie? Final update. Everything changed after my meeting with the PI yesterday. I'm still trying to process what happened, and I'm writing this from a safe location. I need to get this all down while it's fresh in my mind. The PI arrived at our meeting spot with a thick folder and a grim expression. Before he could even start showing me what he'd found, my phone buzzed with a text from my wife. "We need to talk. I know where you are." I looked up and saw her walking into the coffee shop. She was alone, wearing her usual teacher clothes, not the glamorous woman I'd seen in Vegas. The PI immediately moved to a different table, pretending to be just another customer. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. She sat down across from me, placed her hands flat on the table and said, "I'm not who you think I am, but it's not what you think either." Then she pulled out her own badge. FBI. Not local police, not state, federal agent. The story she told me over the next hour made my head spin. She's been deep undercover for the past 9 years, investigating a massive money laundering operation that uses high-end escort services as fronts. She never thought she'd meet someone like me during her assignment. She never planned to fall in love or get married. Everything between us was real, she said, her voice cracking. The only lies were about my work trips and my background. Everything else, our life together, our love, our plans, that was all real. The man I saw her with in Vegas? Her handler? The envelope? Evidence she'd collected? All those secret accounts and transactions I'd found? Part of her undercover work, carefully monitored by the FBI. She'd been gathering evidence for years, working her way up through the organization's hierarchy. I sat there, trying to reconcile the woman I married with this FBI agent sitting in front of me. She reached across the table and took my hand. The same gesture she'd made thousands of times before, but now it felt different. "The investigation is almost over," she said. "I was going to tell you everything next month after the arrests. You were never supposed to find out like this." That's when she noticed something over my shoulder. Her expression changed instantly. "Get down," she shouted, yanking me below the table. Gunshots exploded through the coffee shop window. People screamed. Glass shattered everywhere. What happened next was like something out of a movie. My wife, this woman I thought I knew, moved with a kind of precision I'd never seen before. She had a gun, and she was coordinating with other agents who seemed to appear out of nowhere. The PI, it turns out, was also FBI, assigned to watch me after they realized I'd discovered her identity. They got us out through the back door while a firefight was still going on out front. Someone from the organization had been tailing her, waiting to catch her with her handler. Instead, they found her with me and assumed I was another agent. We're in a safe house now. The shooting at the coffee shop forced the FBI to move up their timeline. They're conducting raids across 3 states tonight, taking down the entire operation. My wife, I don't even know if that's her real name anymore, is in another room, coordinating with her team. I've learned more about her real background in the past 24 hours than in 8 years of marriage. She really was a teacher before joining the FBI. That part wasn't a lie. She chose to maintain that career as part of her cover because it was something she truly loved doing. The weird part? I'm not as angry as I thought I would be. Don't get me wrong. I'm hurt, confused, and still processing everything. But knowing she was working to take down criminals rather than being one herself, it changes things. The love I felt wasn't based on a complete lie. It was just wrapped in layers of necessary deception. We talked all night after things calmed down. She told me her real name. She showed me photos of her actual childhood, her FBI Academy graduation, her life before me. It's strange. I'm essentially meeting my wife for the first time after 8 years of marriage. She's given me an out. Once this operation is over, she'll understand if I want a divorce. Her superiors have offered to help me relocate and start fresh if that's what I choose. But sitting here, watching her work, seeing this whole other side of her, I'm not sure that's what I want. The woman I fell in love with is still there. I can see her in the way she keeps checking on me, bringing me coffee just the way I like it, touching my shoulder as she walks past. She's just more, stronger, more complex, more impressive, if I'm being honest. We can't go back to our house. Her cover is blown, and there might still be people out there who want her dead. The next few months will be a blur of witness protection, court proceedings, and rebuilding our life, if we choose to stay together. The friend whose bachelor party started all this? He's postponed the wedding. Hard to celebrate when your best friend and his wife are in protective custody. But he sent a message through official channels. When this is all over, we're having the biggest damn party anyone has ever seen. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I do know one thing. I married an extraordinary woman. Not the one I thought I knew, maybe, but someone even more remarkable. Now I just have to decide if I'm strong enough to be married to a woman who carries a badge and a gun. For those who offered advice and support through this whole ordeal, thank you. This isn't the resolution any of us expected, but life rarely gives us the endings we anticipate. I'll probably never be able to post on this account again after today. But if you ever find yourself thinking your spouse is living a double life, maybe consider the possibility that they're one of the good guys before hiring a PI. Signing off from an undisclosed location, still processing the fact that my 3rd grade teacher wife is actually a badass FBI agent. Life is stranger than fiction sometimes. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.